a solution. You're gonna have to join the love illusion. If you do, you're gonna see a better world for you and me.
Hello everyone, welcome to Soul Sessions. This is our first episode, and I'm grateful to have you with us. That beautiful piece of music that you just heard, Lovevolution, is by Jim Beckwith, a wonderful artist, singer, songwriter, one of my dearest friends, and also the co-producer of this podcast. Thank you, Jim. The words to that are really moving. With all my heart, that's what we need, a Lovevolution. As I really reflected on this first session and what I wanted to share and enter into the conversation with, there were two things that really came forward for me. One is the way that we consider life, the way that we actually think, feel, reflect, process, and see our world, our experience. And for me, that has to include the whole, that we are part of something much bigger than the separate parts, that we are all a part of something incredible. We are part of a whole. We are part of this incredible universe. All of life is related, interconnected in ways that we can see and imagine and ways that we can't. And we must consider that in all of our systems at this time. So, if you will, a type of holistic thought that honors the whole and sees the whole. And of course, this is nothing new because, well, really it's as old as the hills, the sacred mountains. It's as old as the seas and the oceans and those first cultures that came forward understanding the great web of life. And this is really essential to our survival and to our thriving as a species. And we will go more into that. And the other place that came through, and I'll say the other powerful message and awareness, is the earth herself. So part of being connected to something greater, and you could say our common ground, is Mother Earth. Many cultures have had a deep reverence, love, and connection to the Great Mother, her cycles and rhythms, and the understanding that she literally sustains our life on pretty much every level. And so how will we go forward? Will we go forward in our consciousness of greed and taking, raping Mother Earth for our own material gains? Or will we listen and learn how to live in harmony and balance and reverence with the Great Mother? And yet we can each practice that in our own way because we are each a part of the whole. We are each a drop in the great ocean of consciousness. And so those two themes today, I really want to explore and share and reflect. And I do invite you into this conversation through your comments, through how you feel moved to be inspired by this conversation or push back on it, perhaps. Perhaps there are other ways that you see. I just know that we need to not dismiss each other because it doesn't fit into the narrative of our group. I want you to just imagine a council of people from all walks of life coming together in respect, in mutual learning, consideration, and really hearing each other, taking the best ideas across the board from different systems, ways of being, ways of thinking. That must include the indigenous people, the great wisdom traditions of the earth that go back thousands of years. And it must include the voice of the youth who inherit this planet. Certainly not only those in power, those of privilege. The world is one family. Thank you for being here, and let's dive in. Hello everyone, welcome to the show. Welcome to episode 1. So thank you for joining us, and I'll be honest, it took a little while to get here, as most things do. The inspiration for this came some years ago, but just needed the right, let's say, amount of energy, time, inspiration, and a nice push from the universe and some really good friends. So I'm like you, a human being, flesh and bone, sensing that there's something deeper, not only to me, but to this conversation, to this moment, to everything that we're perceiving in this world. And for me, one of the words that really reflects that depth is soul. The soul of something, the soul of you, the soul of me, the soul of our world, the soul of our universe. That as we reach this incredible moment in time, this evolutionary moment, that there is something deeper that we all need to consider. Perhaps it is something that is concealed. Perhaps it is something that we need to bring forth in each of us, separately, together. Something that is what is missing. So this process together is a conversation, it's a reflection. I'm only leading from my heart because I feel that that conversation is so important. And there's a certain piece to the conversation that I feel is so important. And it is the soul. It is the wisdom that is deep within each of us. The wisdom of life. The knowing, the understanding that all things are connected. That we are all a part of a whole. And that together, truly together, we can create a peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable world for all. So a big inspiration for me in this has been my own children, who I couldn't actually put into words how much I love. And if you have children, you understand, or anyone or anything that you love so deeply in your own being, from your soul, that it's really hard to find words. But for me, I also care about everyone's children. And I am concerned, like you, like so many, not only about what's happening on our planet, but the direction that we've been heading in. The forces guiding our world from the material level. And so my practice and life and work, devotion, these last 30 years has been in the healing traditions. I've been a yogi for over 30 years, at least practicing. I believe that we're all yogis at heart. Yoga just means connection, it means union. The practice of peace, the practice of healing. And many other healing traditions. I've been blessed to learn from teachers in different traditions that have blessed my path, blessed my understanding, and helped me to see the world in a more connected, beautiful way of what is possible. And a lot of my healing has been also in Mother Nature, being in the matrix, as I like to call it, the womb of Mother Earth, close to the elements of earth, water, fire, air, and space. And one of the things that really concerns me is our lack of being able to listen to each other, being able to really hear each other, to have empathy. It's like everyone's talking at each other much of the time, in the silence, waiting to make their next point. And I truly believe that so much healing can happen just by listening to each other, considering what we have to say, and sharing from our hearts, from our minds, from our experience, from our common care for each other. So I wanted to begin today with two main things. One is a concept which I feel is so important and I will try to live up to every day and I will work on. And that concept is how to think. So what I see is that there's often this binary thinking in our world of right or wrong, black or white, sun or moon, male or female, good or bad. And of course that has its place and sometimes is quite necessary. But when everything is binary, we often miss the nuance. So if only I can be right and you are wrong, or you can be right and I am wrong, it doesn't often leave much room for conversation. And we have much to learn from each other. So letting binary thinking have its place and time. And it's interesting, as I say that, it also reminds me of digital code and how everything is becoming more and more digitized. And I think one of the greatest challenges for us in all of that is retaining our humanity, retaining our spirit, our essence, what makes us really unique and human and nuanced. And for me, when I thought of this recently, and I'm sure I'm not the one to coin this term, but when I think of the type of thinking that makes sense to me, the type of reflection and consideration, it is holistic. It is the whole, the interconnectedness of life, how we're all connected, why we're all connected, and that we're all a part of this miracle life. So holistic thinking, a thinking that includes feeling, includes the mind and the heart, the body and the spirit, and the wisdom of the soul. You may have heard the beautiful Native American wisdom of considering our actions and consequential decisions for up to 7 generations forward and backward. Because each important decision that we make puts ripples into the great ocean of being, and we affect each other. We can see that almost instantly now in so many ways, often not in the best ways. I think deep down, we're all afraid. We're all feeling what's happening on the planet. We're all concerned in the way that we are, that our unique life experience and conditioning and current view as we go around the circle allows us to see. I don't believe that anyone sees everything, and no one institution, one group, one person, or political party has all the answers. But it's in that conversation that together we can find a deeper truth, a deeper consideration, and a better way. So this type of thinking is something I want to be better at. The challenges in my own life, learning how to reflect and learn the lessons. And it's not always easy. And there are many lessons in life that we're here to learn. Some people are great at a certain thing or many things, but there's some area or areas that they're really here to work out in this earth school. I like to call it the earth school, where souls come to learn and to grow and to heal and to remember. And I've met very spiritual people on my journey, peaceful, beautiful, we might even think enlightened beings who don't know basic things about running a business, balancing a checkbook, or even keeping a marriage going. And others who are excelling in material world fortunes or in a marriage or relationships, but have no inner peace. Being alone for a few minutes is terrifying. Being silent. There are many ways we could talk about that, and I'll leave that to the side for another time. Because the other thing that I really wanted to come to in this first podcast, probably more than anything else, is I really sat and thought where to begin. Where should I start? And to be honest, there were quite a few things that I felt inspired to move forward with. But then I realized that it was about the roots. It was about earth. That in that moment I was sitting on earth, grounded, connected to this planet. And so I want to begin with earth. Even just that word, those letters, earth. Same letters as heart. I always thought that was so interesting and such a beautiful synchronicity, especially in studying ancient wisdom traditions that had such a reverence for Mother Earth, living in harmony, living in balance with nature, sharing and caring for Earth as a living being. So what a beautiful place to begin, because not only is she our home, this third planet from the sun that has just the right combination of distance from the sun, of elements, of water, of gases, atmosphere that allows life to thrive. She is the source for each of us of the food that we eat every day, what our homes are made of. And I know that you have places that you have been in nature that have touched your soul, where you felt such beauty and peace. At least I think that's true. I don't want to assume. But I really feel that that's part of our human condition, that no matter what's going on the surface in our minds, in our world, the challenges that we may be in, we still have this part of us that when it's in nature, connected to the vast, magnificent beauty and power of nature, we recognize it. There's something about it. We come from nature. We are a part of the web of life. And we must understand that. That is holistic thinking. The closer we live to our center, the more connected to life we feel. There's actually a beautiful quote I read some years ago by one of the great American mystics, Henry David Thoreau, who said, "Dwell as near as possible to the channel in which your life flows." Dwell as near as possible to the channel in which your life flows. That's so profound and powerful. And the opposite is also true. The further away we are from ourselves, the more disconnected we are from our hearts, our minds, our emotions, our spirit, the less connected we feel to life, the more desperate we feel. And this is true with each other. The closer we feel to each other, the more connected we are. We can care for each other because we know that we are connected in ways that we can't even imagine and ways that we can imagine. The science bears this out, and great spiritual traditions reflect this also. And it is true of our world and nature and our current direction. The closer we are to Mother Nature, to the great balance, to the reverence and beauty of this miracle planet, this blue planet that gives life and sustains life, the closer we are to the source of our own life, the food that is given every day for 7 billion people. There is enough. We throw away so much food. In America, I don't remember exactly what the numbers are, but it's profound how much we waste when so many go hungry. So there is enough for all. She gives us food and shelter, and yet we're in a place of such great challenge, a place where we are being, let's say, having to reconsider our whole way of life. I don't think that's an accident. I'm not sure how we got here. There are many theories right now. We're all trying to make sense of it in some way. But regardless, it's an opportunity. It's a possibility. It's true that often in our greatest challenges, we find our greatest strength and resilience. One of the great keys is staying out of fear. Fear, I like to say, is the oldest trick in the book. Certainly there is a primal fear, a healthy fear, a fear that would make us be alert in a dangerous situation, a fear that could help us to respond properly in any moment, to get the right chemicals and neurotransmitters happening in our nervous system and in our brain. That kind of fear is real, and it's healthy, and it comes for a reason. But the kind of fear that we get conditioned into, to be afraid of life, to be afraid of others, to live in fear, is not healthy. It's kind of like tar in our energy system. It freezes us. It lowers the vibration. It lowers our resilience and our ability to act and to respond. And so how do we work with what is, the challenges that are, and work with our immune systems? Because that's really such a key thing right now. The constant fear being broadcast through the media. And I'm not saying that they're not giving relevant facts, but to really feel the energy, what's being transmitted, is very important, because life is energetic. So I really feel, and I know I'm not alone in this, this is an evolutionary moment for us. It is a possibility for us to make adjustments, to see things with a deeper wisdom about how we are interconnected. And many people are speaking to this now, which is so good. And I think we have to be willing also to be brave enough to see the truth, to want to see the truth, not just the comfortable truth, not just the truth that validates our point of view, but that hard truth, the raw truth, the kind that sets us free. It's interesting, we talk so much about love and peace. I'm talking about altruistic, positive qualities. And we say wonderful things about love and peace, but it's only truth that sets us free. Because to know the truth is to really understand who you are in relation to the great mystery, to others, to yourself, to this life. truth is essential. And again, I feel that there is no one person, party, institution, or corporation that actually we're meant to find it together. That's what is so powerful about this time. We need each other. And we need this beautiful planet. I am not in any way on board with the idea that we should be colonizing space. And in fact, I've read at different times that, many people high up in either the economic financial chain or the, let's say, power structure of the planet have already given up. To me, that's madness. We cannot give up. And we also need a new way. So let me just shift for a moment, because there's a piece of this conversation that I want to bring in. And I'm sure many of you, perhaps all of you, will be familiar with this in some way. So, and actually, if all of us went back far enough in our ancestral lineages, we would find this same type of wisdom. A wisdom that is connected to the cycles and rhythms of the earth. A wisdom that was connected to the land and to the water. A wisdom that knew and found ways to live in balance with nature as much as possible. In certain traditions, indigenous traditions, and when I say indigenous, it means the original, essential tradition native to that place. And if you think about it, it's actually an interesting word, in Dios, in God, indigenous. So we're all indigenous to earth, and in that indigenous mother wisdom, that receptive, the feminine as receptive, not that it's only receptive, but in this case, nurturing, loving, caring. The mother wisdom is the wisdom of the earth. We call her Mother Earth. What kind of madness is it to poison the water that you drink, to poison the food that you eat, that you will give to your babies, to poison the air that you breathe, and even the home that you live in, or our bodies? So if we're honest, I think it's to understand that we're all a little mad in our world to do that. It somehow became normal. It doesn't make sense. A child could tell us that. In fact, there's a lot that a child could tell us right now. Sometimes as adults, things get a little too complex and complicated, that we miss what is staring us right in the face. So I'll speak a little more specifically to a lot of what I've learned about over these years in the indigenous wisdom tradition of India. But many traditions are like this, and perhaps all are related as we go back far enough. We are a part of nature. We come from Mother Nature. And as I was sharing earlier, the closer we live to that connection, the more aligned we are with health, the more aligned we are with vitality and energy and clarity and spirit. In our world, at some point, we started going in the wrong direction, at least forgetting something very important. And I'm going to share a quote with you from Einstein. I'm going to paraphrase it. The ancient people seem to have understood something very important that we have forgotten. Now, I know that many people make the case that the world is better than it has ever been, that life is better quality of life than we've ever had. More people live longer. We have more advancements and better conditions, able to fight disease. And so much of that is true. I'm not arguing with that. So I'm coming from the point right now of holistic thinking. But I also see that we've lost something, very important. Our mother mind, our feminine wisdom that truly understands the connection to earth, to life. Don't poison your food to make money, more money. Don't poison your air to make more money. Don't poison your body. And that's it. We've put greed as our God. What we worship becomes our God. No matter what we say or do, what we do our daily devotion to, put our focus on, our energy with, becomes our God. I'm not saying this in any way with judgment, but it's what I see. And we put profit over people. We live in a world of abundance and plenty where there is enough for all. And so many go hungry, so many live in such difficult conditions, challenging conditions, horrifying conditions, while some live with more than they could ever spend in 1,000,000 lifetimes. Even our institutions validate, our media in so many ways glorifies that it's not sustainable, it never was, and it's time to wake up. Gandhi said, "There is enough for everyone's need and not for everyone's greed." And I will say that that is the law of Mother Earth. People say that, now, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a researcher in that way, I'm a yogi, I'm a simple yogi. But when I hear the statement, there is not enough for everyone, we're going to run out of food, we're going to run out of resources that we need to sustain life, I'm sorry, but I can't go there. Because that thought of lack, of fear, is coming from the disconnected mind that is seeing in this binary thinking. First of all, if we just were more efficient with what we have and more caring with what we have, we would vastly change that equation very quickly. 3% of the United States military budget annually is enough to remedy world hunger. Think about that for a moment. Just 3% of the United States military budget would be enough to end world hunger. But we don't do it. Why? And it's not just the US. I'm sure other countries, if everybody contributed, just a little. So this really is the issue, that it's about how we're thinking. It's about how we're seeing. I'm not pointing my finger and blaming corporations and others, because I know I have that in me too. I know that I don't see everything. I know that I'm not right all the time. And I want to, again, underscore this reminder for all of us that we are each a part of our world. We are each creating this world, ripples into the pond. And simple things have great power, sometimes even in the face of what feels unjust and uncorrectable. There are so many people right now all over the earth who care. There are so many people right now all over the earth who are trying to find ways to make this a better world. That is our hope. That is our future. And to teach our children to love and care for Mother Earth, that mother wisdom again, to teach them to understand different viewpoints, to be considerate of others, to understand that life is very much about healing. See, when we pretend that life isn't about healing and growth, there's a lot of shame there, because who has it all worked out, first of all? Who hasn't had pain? Who hasn't been through some kind of trauma? Who doesn't feel that they're hiding some part of themselves? Mental illness, anxiety, depression, these are at an all-time high, in part because we have disconnected from nature. And that's something I'd like to go much deeper into in another session that we do together. But to understand that Mother Earth is a living, conscious being. Her ecosystems, her energetic fields, her patterns and rhythms are intimately connected to ours. Now, you don't have to learn in an ancient wisdom tradition or any scientific tradition that would validate this. Because we each have this incredible capacity in our being. We are incredible instruments. And when we go back into nature, when we connect ourselves into the 5 elements, when we look at the stars, the heavens, when we see a sunrise, a sunset, we see the glory of the full moon or that first crescent of the new moon, we are reminded that we are part and parcel of this creation. And so, my friends, this is, I think, so important for us to remember in all of our actions, our words, our choices, what we buy, what we eat, the medicines we take, what we put into our bodies, what we put into our drains and toilets. You know, I learned from a beautiful man, Chief Joe Alphonse of the Chilcotin Nation, First Nation people in Canada. And Joe, if you're listening, I'd love to have you on the podcast. You're actually one of the guests that I would love to invite. We did a few programs together, and I learned so much from this beautiful man. And one thing that he shared was that, you know, we often like to point our finger at corporations when it comes to pollution in the waters, or perhaps even the airs, but I think specifically he was talking about the water and all the bad things that are happening. But I think it was 70%, it might have been more, but it was like at least 70% of the pollution in the waters, in the ocean, the rivers, comes from our personal drains. The chemicals that we have been putting into our laundry machines, our dishwashers, our food, our bodies, flushing into the rivers. And this is so important. Poison is not sustainable. Though it may have its uses, it literally does that to our world. And the same is true of thinking, poisonous thinking, fear and hate and negativity, foods that have poisonous chemical pesticides that poison our bodies and create illness. Poison into the waters, poison into the earth, poison into the airwaves. So we must, I feel, all do better. And not even that we must. Well, I think that's obvious that we must, but we can. We can create a better world one day at a time, one conversation at a time, one prayer, one act of listening, of caring and sharing. So this is our home, and it's a beautiful home. And I know that we're in a really deep spot right now. I think that dawns on us sometimes about what's really happening. We're facing many complex issues. Humanity is facing many complex issues that cannot be solved with binary either-or thinking. In most cases, it needs deep, applied, holistic mind, heart, body, soul, wisdom. And it needs conversation and sharing and people working together. So how could we each do that in our life more? You know, we don't have to have all the answers right now. We don't have to have it all figured out. But just to take a step in that right direction. We can all do something each day, maybe just, one little thing. A prayer, eat something that's really good for you, take a walk, meditate, give something of yourself to another. Dedicate your time, your energy. We all have something to give, to share. The source of our suffering is self-created. Of course, there are challenges to life, there have always been. But the issues we face now, we have created, and we can heal them. And we need an integration of the male-based logic, patriarchal wisdom that has guided much of the development over these last few thousand years, and especially in the last few hundred. But we also need to tap into the mother wisdom, the nurturing, loving wisdom of the cosmos. There are just things that mothers know. There are things that are essential to mothering, and we each have that within us to nurture a better world. A really important part of that conversation are the indigenous traditions. So over these next weeks ahead, months ahead, as a main part of this podcast, it's my intention to bring on some really amazing souls to share their wisdom and to share their understanding and to be in conversation with them. And I'm really grateful for you tuning in and listening. And I want to just close with a very short meditation or prayer. Please don't turn off yet. It'll be really short. And I invite you really in full honoring of whatever tradition you are connected to, spiritual tradition, religion, even agnostic or atheist, just where you are right now, your own natural care for this world and the people in it. And the indigenous traditions have something very important to offer us at this incredible juncture that we are at. A world council of all the traditions, a great listening, a great caring, a great sharing, a great vision of the interconnectedness of everything, of life, and a great way forward for all of us. So unless you're driving, in which case you can still do it, but keep your eyes open, of course. And if you're in a place and time where you can close your eyes comfortably, just do that. And focus on your center, wherever you feel that is, however you're guided to do that. And feel your breath there, the spirit breath that connects you to life. Relax your eyes and ears, tongue. Relax your body and feel as if you're flowing toward your center, your source. And just allow to come forth that simple prayer for peace. Peace in our world. Simple prayer for others. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy and free from suffering. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shalom. Salam. Amen. Peace. Thank you so much for being with us today. Wishing you health, peace, and prosperity. And together we can create a world that works for all. Thank you.
What to do? What's the solution? We gotta start a love evolution. Start with yourself to occupy. We got to learn to tame our own damn mind. I see a love illusion coming on. I'd love it to be easy, but I might be wrong. It's probably getting worse before it gets better. But if it's gonna happen, it must be better than never. Come on now, if you want a solution, you're gonna have to join.